The lake was veiled in soft mist, still as glass, the kind of morning that made Arthur Keene believe his late wife was still there in the silence. He sipped coffee, the warmth grounding him as the dock creaked beneath his slippers. 30 years of memory lived in every nail of the boathouse behind him. But then, across the gravel access road, a shape cut through the fog. A woman in blazing neon pink, matching blouse and pants, stood watching, clipboard in hand. Two men flanked her, jackets emblazoned with police across the back, though no badge gleamed. Arthur's gut twisted. The quiet wasn't protection, it was prelude. The neon figure scribbled, her mirrored sunglasses catching the dawn. He hadn't yet read the notice nailed to his wall, but already he felt the first crack in his piece. Something unnatural had come to his shore. Arthur's breath caught when he saw it. A thick-headed nail hammered straight into the cedar of his boathouse door, the same board Sarah once painted. A violation of memory before he even touched the paper. He pried it loose, leaving behind a small scar. In bold letters, final notice, unpaid HOA dues, demolition scheduled. Beneath, absurd fees stacked like lies. $11,740.26 for dock color and siding inconsistency. His land was never inside any association, a fact written in his deed. His fingers trembled as he dialed the number listed. A sugary voice answered, smooth and deliberate. Lakeside Pines, Valerie Pike speaking. How can we help you? Arthur spoke evenly. My parcel isn't in your HOA. Valerie's chuckle was soft, but cutting. Oh, Mr. Keene, annexation vote 6 weeks ago. It's settled. But don't fret, I'll see this clerical hiccup fixed. The words dripped reassurance, but her neon shadow lingered.
Morning sun replaced fog with harsh clarity. Gravel crunched under heavy tires. Arthur peered from his window and felt his chest tighten. A dual-axle flatbed rolled in, a yellow backhoe strapped like a beast waiting to strike. A foreman climbed down, clipboard under his arm. Behind him, 2 HOA enforcers stood in formation, jackets screaming police as they filmed his home with wide, hostile grins. Arthur stepped onto the porch. Can I help you? The foreman's voice was flat. Order says we demo that boathouse. No check, no mercy. He jerked a thumb toward the machine. Arthur forced calm. There's the mistake. But the man wasn't listening. He was muscle, following neon orders. The rumble of the idling backhoe filled the air, louder than reason. Arthur's hands shook, not with fear, but with the recognition of what this was. An invasion masked as bureaucracy. Arthur withdrew, locking his door. He wasn't a man to shout at hired muscle. Instead, he turned to the steel cabinet in his study. Files lay neat, labeled with care. Grandfather's deed, 1962. Tax bills. A certified survey, lines drawn with sharp black clarity. He laid each on the kitchen table, photographing every page with precise hands. Document everything, he muttered. Outside, the foreman smoked, glancing at the backhoe as if the machine's hunger was his excuse. Arthur's phone buzzed, his daughter Morgan. Dad, don't engage. Collect, preserve, then county clerk. Get certified copies. Her tone was sharp, an echo of authority. He exhaled, steadier now. He wasn't powerless. He had paper. Real paper. The kind no neon pretender could overwrite with fake votes and glossy threats. His shield would not be a gun or badge. It would be black ink, notarized seals, dates that could not be forged.
The clerk's office smelled of floor wax and old ink. Arthur slid the parcel number across the counter. A weary clerk typed, then swiveled her screen. The plat map appeared. There was the lake. There was his cabin, clearly outside the Lakeside Pines boundary. Relief hit hard, almost dizzying. Certified copy, please, he said, voice iron. The heavy stamp thunked down, embossing the seal like a weapon. As she handed it to him, the clerk leaned closer, voice low. You're not the first. These HOAs, they file amended maps, sneak parcels inside. We've had complaints. Arthur's stomach tightened. It wasn't clerical, it was strategy. He tucked the stamped map into a folder as carefully as a soldier holstering a blade. The drive home felt different now. He wasn't returning to safety, he was returning to contested ground. The neon figure had shown her hand. He was just beginning to play. Dawn shattered with metallic violence. Arthur rushed outside, slippers skinning on gravel. A 30-yard dumpster blocked his driveway, its rusted side spray-painted, property of Lakeside Pines HOA, debris removal. Ambulance, fire truck, nothing could enter now. He wrote the timestamp in his phone, then snapped photos from every angle. A neighbor shouted from the road, "Art, they dropped it in minutes, barely slowed down." He lifted his phone higher, framing the license plate in sharp focus. Anger wasn't hot, it was cold, methodical. He logged 5:32 a.m., obstruction, emergency hazard. Upstairs, his son Caleb peered out, arms crossed. "They're boxing you in, standard intimidation." Arthur's grip on the phone steadied. He had their pattern now. False debts, machinery, cages. Every move they made was evidence piling higher. The dumpster wasn't just an obstruction, it was a symbol. They were calling his life garbage. He would make them choke on it. The phone rang, placed on speaker in the quiet kitchen. Arthur's youngest, Noah, spoke politely. "Calling about the dumpster at my father's home. We just want this sorted." On the other end, Treasurer Harlan Dodd's voice rasped, half asleep yet smug. "Simple. You pay, it goes. Until then, life's only getting harder." Noah pressed. "He's an old man. Maybe he should just sell." Silence, then a wheezing chuckle. "Smartest thing you've said. We'll break him till he begs to move. Cheaper that way." Arthur's jaw clenched as Caleb silently mouthed, "Got him." The call ended, the kitchen air heavy. Morgan typed fast, noting time, location, consent laws. "That's extortion," she said flatly. Arthur nodded once. It wasn't just harassment anymore. It was strategy spoken aloud, caught forever in digital memory. The HOA wanted to erase him. Instead, they had just written their own confession into his ledger of proof. By evening, the assault turned public. Arthur's phone buzzed with neighbor alerts. On the Lakeside Pines Facebook page, a wide photo of his cabin appeared, taken with a long lens from the tree line. Bold red letters screamed, "Non-compliant final notice," and beneath it his full name, a scarlet letter. Valerie Pike posed in neon orange beside her board, their police jackets flashing authority they didn't have, smirks wide. But instead of shame, solidarity bloomed. A call came from Bill, 2 roads over. "They fined me $500 for a garden gnome. I thought I was alone." Then Cheryl, "A violation for my welcome mat's width, half an inch." Arthur realized the neon tyrant had overplayed her hand. The pillory backfired. The town was stirring awake. Their voices carried weight, anger layered, ready. Valerie had made the mistake of exposing her cruelty in daylight. Now her audience wasn't cowed, it was enraged. The kitchen had become a command post. Laptops glowed, maps spread across the oak table. Arthur's children worked side by side, but with restraint. "Dad," Morgan said firmly, "we're not here as agents. Off duty. This is your fight." Caleb nodded. "We advise, but you lead." Arthur felt a pang of pride. He wasn't just a man being defended, he was being trusted to defend. Neighbors trickled in, hesitant at first. Cheryl clutched a stack of fines, Bill brought photos. Each face carried a story of harassment, each voice a weight against the neon figure's reign. For the first time, Arthur saw them not as isolated victims, but as a community capable of standing together. "They've ruled us by fear," he said quietly. "Fear ends when we stand side by side." Heads nodded. The police jackets outside couldn't control that. Valerie's neon glow was starting to dim against unity. Morgan spread sheets across the table, her finger landing on a suspicious entry. General contracting, $218,000. No receipts, no vendors, just quarterly payments. Caleb leaned in. That's a slush fund. A search of state registries pulled the mask off. Pike Site Management. Owned by Valerie's brother. HOA funds funneled through family. The pattern was undeniable. "She bleeds the community, then covers the gap with fines," Morgan said. Arthur stared at the numbers. They weren't abstract. They were nails in his dock, his stolen mornings, his neighbor's humiliation. No printed copies, highlighting discrepancies. Bill muttered, "She called my rosebush a hazard to safety, all for this." The documents lay heavy on the wood, louder than shouting, sharper than neon. Valerie Pike wasn't a mere bully. She was an embezzler. And unlike her police-jacketed board, this paper carried true authority. The tide of evidence was rising fast.
Sheriff Callahan stood at the edge of Arthur's blocked driveway, hat tipped against the sun. His eyes narrowed at the dumpster, then at the neon figures loitering by the HOA entrance. "Art, I can't just haul this away. Civil matter. But," he tapped the folder Morgan handed him, "with this evidence, a judge can freeze their actions. TRO, temporary restraining order, 48 hours. Arthur's shoulders eased. Not salvation, but time. Valerie appeared then, radiant in neon pink, aviators glinting. She smiled sweetly at the sheriff. "Sheriff, our community rules must be enforced." Callahan's jaw set, "Not without jurisdiction." Her smile cracked, just slightly. Arthur caught the flicker. This was no longer unchecked tyranny. It was being boxed by the real law. The sheriff drove off, leaving dust in the neon's glow. Arthur understood the weight of the next 2 days. They weren't waiting. They were laying a trap with patience. Arthur returned from town, supplies rattling in his trunk. The air changed before he reached the turn. A low drone, chainsaws. He floored the accelerator. His breath caught. Where his boathouse once stood, only splintered ruin remained. The roof Sarah painted, the window she loved, gone in an hour. Foreman Ted stood stiff, not meeting Arthur's eyes. Behind him, HOA board and police jackets guarded the perimeter, phones out, documenting compliance. Arthur stumbled forward. "You can't—" Ted cut him off, eyes empty. "Orders." Trucks rolled out, lumber stacked in Mara's nephew's pickup like plunder. Neighbors lined the road, some filming, some weeping. Bill rushed to Arthur's side. "We called the sheriff. Too fast. I'm sorry." Arthur knelt by the ruin, his hand brushing splinters. Among them, a photo. Sarah, younger, smiling, hammer in hand. His chest hollowed. The fight drained. This wasn't bureaucracy anymore. It was desecration. Arthur sat on the shattered dock, photograph trembling in his grip. Sarah's smile was frozen in time, mocking the wreckage surrounding him. His children stood back, silent. No empty promises, just presence. The neon tyranny had finally struck deep, cutting flesh from memory. For the first time, Arthur felt the weight of defeat pressing his shoulders. Caleb's jaw tightened, arms crossed like stone. Noah crouched, eyes sharp, fury smoldering. Morgan placed a steady hand on Arthur's shoulder. "Dad, they think this broke you? They don't know you." He wanted to believe her, but the boathouse was gone, carried off like spoils. Around them, neighbors whispered in anger, filming, murmuring about theft, about trespass. The silence of solidarity was louder than his despair. Slowly, Arthur realized this wasn't the end. This was the line. They hadn't won. They had declared war, and he would no longer fight alone. 2 days later, a judge's gavel froze the HOA's power with a temporary restraining order. Their fines, their blockades, their demolition threats suspended. Arthur stood in court, neon Valerie across the aisle, her orange outfit blazing under the fluorescent lights. Her smile was brittle, jaw tight. The ruling wasn't final, but it was the first stone thrown back. Outside, reporters whispered. Neighbors gathered, watching their tyrant flinch. Valerie stormed past, aviators hiding eyes that no longer glowed with certainty. "This isn't over," she hissed, brushing Arthur's shoulder. He didn't answer. The weight of the stamped order in his hand was enough. It was fragile, temporary, but real.
And with every passing hour, they were laying more foundations. Recorded calls, forged signatures, financial theft. Each piece was a nail, each nail a coffin. Arthur wasn't defending anymore. He was building something stronger and offensive. And this time, the Neon Queen would fall.
Back at the lake, Arthur stacked fresh lumber on the dock, deliberate in its placement. Not enough to build, just enough to suggest intention. In his garage, he left rolled blueprints on the workbench, notes scrawled in margins. Exceeds county code, reinforced foundation, visible through the dusty window. Outside, new signs hammered into posts read, "Private property, no trespass, court ordered." Cameras the size of golf balls nestled in birdhouses and hedges, lenses aimed with surgical precision. Caleb adjusted feeds, phone pinging motion alerts. She won't resist, bullies never do. Arthur's heart beat steady. This wasn't rebuilding yet, it was bait. Valerie Pike thrived on control, neon glow demanding obedience. Soon, curiosity and arrogance would collide. The decoy plans whispered defiance. The lumber screamed temptation. All Arthur had to do was wait, silent as the mist. The trap wasn't steel or fire. It was patience, sharpened to a knife's edge. The alert chimed at 11:32 a.m. Caleb raised his phone, and there she was. Valerie Pike, neon orange blazing like a flare, walking down Arthur's driveway. She carried a clipboard, snapping photos with her phone. The cameras caught everything, the sign she passed, the moment she crossed the boundary. Her board's police-jacketed enforcers lingered at the road, nervous, unwilling to follow. Valerie strutted onto the dock, fingers brushing the stacked lumber like it already belonged to her. Then she turned, eyes drawn to the garage. She leaned close, trying to photograph the blueprints. Noah whispered, "Got her." Morgan's jaw set. Every step trespass, every frame evidence. Valerie's neon reflection glowed in the garage glass as she pressed her face to the window, greedy and unafraid. The trap had closed, not with chains, but with quiet, undeniable proof. For the first time, the Queen had walked willingly into her own cage.
Days later, the district attorney filed charges: forgery, fraud, trespass, extortion. Judge signed search warrants, authorized raids on the HOA clubhouse and treasurer's home. Arthur sat in the back of the courtroom, watching as Valerie's lawyer sputtered about clerical misunderstandings. The judge's gavel cut clean. Outside, Neon Valerie stormed past cameras, her orange suit suddenly garish, no longer regal. Reporters shouted questions. She ignored them, jaw locked, aviators hiding panic. Arthur clutched his deed, his survey, his photos. Each was a weapon sharper than steel. The process was slow, deliberate, legal. But the path was real. This wasn't fantasy justice. It was paperwork, signatures, time. And that was the beauty. Valerie had thrived on fake rules and intimidation. Now true rules were binding her tighter than any rope. Her neon glow flickered, dimmed by the stamp of law. Arthur exhaled. It wasn't over, but the walls were closing, and she knew it. The raid came at dawn. Black SUVs pulled up to the HOA clubhouse during a scheduled compliance walk. Valerie strutted at the front, neon pink blazing, board enforcers in their police patch snapping photos of fences and lawns. Then the SUVs opened. Agents stepped out, suits crisp, movements efficient. "Search warrant," one said, flashing papers. Valerie's smile faltered. "You can't, this is HOA business." Her voice cracked against authority that dwarfed her neon glow. Enforcers shifted uneasily, one tugging at the police patch as deputies ordered them to remove it. Cameras rolled. Neighbors watched from sidewalks, whispers rippling. Valerie raised her chin, but her clipboard trembled. She was no longer queen, she was defendant. The neon outfit that once blinded was now a beacon of arrogance, captured on every phone. For the first time, the power was stripped away. She wasn't running the show anymore. She was the show.
In court, the evidence spoke louder than any witness. Altered plat maps with forged signatures, fake annexation votes signed by the dead, recorded calls where Harlan Dodd bragged of breaking Arthur into selling, financial records funneling hundreds of thousands into Pike site management. Valerie sat stiff, neon muted under courtroom gray. The judge's verdict was measured: fraud, trespass, embezzlement. Criminal charges pending, civil liability imposed. The HOA placed under a court-appointed receiver. Valerie personally liable for damages to Arthur's property. Her board stripped of authority, their police jackets now evidence of intimidation. She didn't scream, she didn't plead, she simply sagged. Her glow extinguished. Arthur's hands tightened around Sarah's photograph in his pocket. Justice wasn't thunder, it was steady, unyielding, written on stamped orders and sealed files. The courtroom didn't cheer, it didn't need to. The neon tyrant had fallen, undone not by force, but by truth. Weeks later, trucks delivered fresh cedar, the air rich with the scent of new beginnings. Neighbors gathered, tool belts slung, coffee in hand. Bill lifted a hammer, Cheryl steadied a beam. Together, they raised the boathouse anew, not under rules written by a neon queen, but under respect earned in sweat. Arthur drove the final nail into the roof beam, standing where Sarah once stood. The lake shimmered, mist curling low, familiar and eternal. His children watched, not as saviors, but as family. Around them, laughter rose, the sound of fear replaced by resolve. At the property line, a new sign gleamed. Private land, protected, respected. The neon that once haunted this shore was gone, replaced by wood, by steel, by unity. Arthur stood on his rebuilt dock, photo of Sarah in his pocket, eyes on the horizon. Authority had tried to erase him. Instead, it had built his community stronger.